So here's a challenge from a person called Michael Diamond, and Mike Girvin from the YouTube channel ExcelIsFun was showing a couple different ways to solve this. First, the requirement. What we have to do, so these sub items, all these sub items belong to the item diagonally to up above. These two belong to this one, and these 6 belong to this one. What we have to do is count these, put that number over here, and also do a lookup of this value over in this lookup table. So when we find this value over here, it's obviously Daisy, that's the answer, and we want to repeat that all the way down along with this count. So it would be helpful if this value was just repeated over here. The same with this one twice here and K123 in here. So that's not the case. Let's assume that we can't clean up the data. If we can't do that, then there's a couple different ways to solve it. Here's Mike's formula. It's just one formula, but as you can see, it's quite long. It would be quite challenging to explain that to someone else. Here is the way that Bill has done it, and he's got a shorter formula. And if we just click on the formula bar, we see there's no helpers. It's just using column A and the lookup table. So both Mike's solution and Bill's solution do not use helper columns. In my case, if I were going to explain this to someone, I would want more of a step-by-step method so that the end user could sort of run with the solution, be able to explain it to anyone else, and possibly modify it. So here's what I would do. First step would be this. I'm going to repeat these items in column A. So it's just a very simple if statement, and this would also be scalable if we had 50,000 rows or even 500,000 rows. It would just be a little bit slow on 500,000 rows. So that's the first thing. The formula is just looking over here. If it sees a blank, it will just pick up the item above. Down here, when it's not a blank, we just get that value and put it there. So that's step one, just to repeat that item, and it makes everything else so much easier. Step number two, I'm going to do this count over here. And I'm going to say, all right, now that I'm repeating this, how many times do I see that item number? So that's going to be the number that in the end we put over here. Now, you see that it's 1 too many. Instead of 4, 2, and 6, 5, 3, and 7, but we'll fix that. But this is just a very light way to do it because we don't have to repeat it over here many times. We have this little short table where we have all of these item numbers already over here, and we just do that count if. The next step is going to be this. We just want to sort of prep this. So I could have put this count if inside of this formula, but just to have it in another step, easier to read, I have it in here. And I'm saying if I click in here, just take the number -1 and then put the word in and take the flower from the flower text word from column I. And finally, what we're going to do here is do our final answer. Now, this could be a VLOOKUP, but I prefer myself to most of the time use index match. So here I just have a little if statement to say if this is blank, put blank, because we want this to look exactly like this column F to look exactly like column C. So I have that little if statement. Here I have an index. So I'm saying match, look for the K123. Look for it in column H, and then get the answer, or the index, get the answer from column K. So that pulls back that. We only have to do the count if 3 times, and then the lookup just goes and finds everything. So we just drag that all the way down, and this would also be scalable if we had 200,000 or 300,000 rows, maybe even more. So that's the way I would do it. There's no really right or wrong way. I have 4 steps, right? That's the disadvantage here. But they're just kind of easier steps to describe. And Mike and Bill had only one formula, no helpers, but obviously more complex formula.